Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Coach Ricardo Miller, and I'm back for another exciting conversation here on our Effective Living YouTube channel. If this is your first time joining us, listen, guys, you've got to subscribe to this channel. Every day, we're providing good content that's helping you to take control of your life. I believe that one nugget, one principle, one truth can change your life forever. It is possible to live for a long time, not discovering the principles to winning. And so my goal is to provide free content on this particular platform every day, Monday to Friday, actually. I've been taking the weekends off, just so y'all know, just so you know. I like working. I like what I do, but brother got to take a break, right? And so this morning, I'm joined with a guy who was here before. He showed up before, he delivered before, and he's back. And I want to make sure that you guys get to tap into this conversation that I believe needs to be talked about a lot more. First and foremost, let's remember that this is the month that has been recognized as Mental Health Awareness Month. And I saw that my brother posted something a few weeks ago, and I said, I'm going to invite him back, and I'm going to talk about that. So welcome back to Effective Living. Bradley, how are you doing?
I'm good, Mark. Good morning. It's good to be here. It's good to be back.
Listen, man, you're a blessing. You're a blessing. You're there in the Bahamas, the beautiful Bahamas. I love the Bahamas. I woke up this morning and said, I need a trip. I haven't been home in almost 15 months. And that's unheard of.
You're well overdue then.
I am most certainly well overdue. Tell our viewing audience a little bit about Bradley, man, and where you're based out of, what you're about, and just so they know who's talking.
Well, Bradley, Hendfield, everybody here in the beautiful island of Grand Bahama. I'm married, been married for 15 years. I have 3 amazing children, 2 boys, 1 girl. I'm an author, Secrets of the Man Cave, and I'm an aspiring entrepreneur, trying to be like my big brother over here and make it happen. Trying to make it happen, man.
Well, you're doing it, my friend. You're doing it, my brother. You're talking a little low, and so you may want to talk up a little bit.
Okay.
A little bit louder. But you have this whole mission on helping men.
Yes.
What inspired that? Where did that come from? I mean, you have been doing this when nobody's been doing it when it comes to an independent entity. We're not talking about a church organization, but you have an independent agenda to helping men in general. What inspired that? What birthed that?
I think it was when I was in high school. I got this inspiration, the idea to help men to be better men. And of course, being in high school, you think ain't nobody can listen to me. This isn't something that I'm interested in. I ain't trying to do it, and so I didn't do anything with it for a while until about 2016. 2016, I graduated from high school in 1999. So that's plenty years, plenty years that expired. But back in 2016, it was like, okay, Bradley, it's time to do it. So that's when the Man Cave experience was launched, and it was simply to help men to be better men. I mean, it's growing up. You see the guys on the blocks sitting on the corner, not doing anything with their lives, but drinking and smoking. It's like there has to be more to life than that. There has to be more. So it's all about helping men to discover who they are so that they can be the best them.
Yep.
And it's not just for your wife or your children, but be the best you for you first.
Yep.
Then you can be the best you for everybody else.
Wow. Being the best you for you first. I like that. A lot of guys don't know of that as a possibility. I mean,
Right.
There are a lot of people who struggle with that. This past week, I was talking to. I mean, I'm surrounded by some of the best people on the planet, Bradley. I'm extremely blessed. And as a guy, I'm 45 years old, and I'm just discovering some major stuff. When you say the man cave, I know the conversation in the cave, man, is not regular. It's not supposed to be a regular conversation. It's supposed to be, hey man, this is a place where you're not judged. This is a place where you can express yourself and really dive in. Is that what you're seeing happening in these man cave gatherings?
It's a progressive move. It's a progressive move. I think we've been so conditioned to not opening up
Yeah.
until like certain conversations happen, and when one man decides that okay, I'm going to open up about it, then the others are a little bit more comfortable talking about it. But it's progressive.
Yeah.
It's taking some time, but I see it getting there.
Bradley, listen, when I say man cave and the conversation, this is such a good thing. I was telling you just now, I'm surrounded by some good people. And they were telling me about these different ways you can take care of yourself. I'm a strong believer in taking care of me. I believe that men are to be comfortable going for counseling. I think men should be comfortable having a therapist in their life. I believe men ought to take care of their bodies. I mean, at this age in my life, 45 years old, I'm learning to take care of my body. But Bradley, I mentioned in this conversation I was having, I'm looking and discovering a lot about my city and the things that I can do to take care of my body. And the person mentioned, they have these spas. I said, oh man, I love a spa. I love to go to a spa. And they said, well, they have the spa, and then they have the guy side and the female side. And then they said, well, the guy side, they can go in these in the hot tub that does this to your skin. But they're like naked, right? I was like, now I want to talk about this with you, Bradley, because you're from the Bahamas. I was like, I'm just so you know, I'm not going in no guys section where the dudes are naked. Like, what? Right? Bradley, we grew up in an environment where in some cultures that's nothing.
Right.
Hey man, we're all men. You could walk out and you'll just swing it, right?
Yep.
Well, I don't know how it's been in Grand Bahamas, but I grew up in Nassau, and we don't want you walking around in your drawers. I mean, come on, Bradley, is the man cave a comfortable place to walk around in your drawers? I want to know. Can brothers be swinging it, or that be considered, hey, that's a little shady move, Bradley? What you trying to encourage? What's going on? Tell me about it.
I think in comparison, the whole idea is for you to walk around in your drawers, to let it hang out. And I'm talking from a perspective where you're unashamed.
Yep.
You're unashamed. I mean, everybody has their thing. Everybody has their struggles. Everybody has their issues. It may not, it's not the same for everybody. And in some cases, some people share the same experiences and the same struggles. But the man cave is a place where you are free to let it hang out. And like you said, there's no judgment, there's no condemnation. We're looking at you cross-eyed because all of us are men, all of us go through things, and all of us need somebody to help us through it.
Yeah.
But as far as the spa is concerned, like you say, we grew up in the Bahamas where that's a taboo thing. It's taboo. We're not into stuff like that. And like you say, in some cultures, that's fine. They're cool with that, like thing. Like this a normal thing for us. But in the Bahamas, that's a different thing altogether.
I remember listening to Bishop Jake saying one time he went to, I think it was Australia, and he mentioned that being an American, he came there and he had a swim trunks on. This Bishop Jakes, he out to the resort, he went out with some swim trunks, right? But he says where he went, I don't know if this is all over Australia, but where he went, they wear Speedos. Okay? And he said, he wasn't doing the Speedo thing. Okay. He wasn't doing, you know what I'm saying? He wasn't doing the little Speedo. And so in one culture, the Speedo is fine. The other culture is the swim trunks is fine.
Right.
And then they're the straight up. And so we're talking to men today. This is a focus on men. We have women watching us, but there's a whole lot of misunderstanding when it comes to men. And a lot of men haven't even done the work to discover this for themselves, not to mention the women that are in their lives. What's going on there? Men aren't discovering what they need to know about themselves, but yet they're having to lead families that are wanting them to carry them somewhere where the men themselves may have never gone.
Yeah, I think that's a predicament to be in, because how can you, especially for a man that has children, how can you teach your children to be themselves when you don't know who you are? When you haven't discovered the true essence of who you are? Like, what are you teaching your children, even in helping your wife to discover who she is? How can one do that when you don't know yourself? And I think we've been so, what's the word I'm looking for? Men have been pushed, for lack of a better word, to be the leader, to be the provider, to be the protector, to be this and to be that for everybody else. He doesn't know how
Wow.
to discover who he needs to be for himself.
Wow. So this whole concept of continual education is something that, if you're listening to us this morning, I'm joined with Bradley Hendfield out of the Bahamas, and we're talking about manhood, and we're talking about the responsibility that every man should have to ensure that they're learning what they need to learn, even after a certain age. Because not because you have hit a certain age mean that you're aware of what you need to be aware of.
Right.
And Bradley leads this movement centered around the Man Cave Experience. That's a phenomenal platform. He wrote a book that helps to push men to understanding what needs to be understood in relations to their position in society. Bradley, when it comes to reading books, when it comes to getting coaches, when it comes to submitting to someone to help them to evolve and become, it's not something that men often lean towards. What do you think that's based out of?
I think that's because we feel like, as men, we know what we're doing. We know what we're doing. We know how to do it, when we should do it, why to do it. But I feel like every man needs a mentor. Every man needs a mentor. You need to find somebody to help you, to guide you when you have difficult, decisions that you need to make. Yes, we pray, and if we're married, we talk to our spouses. But there's nothing like having someone that sees something in you, because your spouse is going to see some things in you, and your mentor is going to see something completely different.
Yeah.
So I think it's good to have that person, or so for some people, there are multiple persons, those persons in your life where you can go and say, you know what, okay, this is what I'm faced with. I need to make this decision. How can I go about this? Or how do you think I should deal with this? We need to have that in our lives. We've been conditioned to doing it on our own all of our lives till we feel like we don't need anybody to tell us how to do anything or what we should do or when to do it. That's
Wow.
just how men were brought up.
Probably, how dangerous is it for a man to not be able to be corrected? You know, this is real. I
Listen,
believe that, the Bible talks about the guy walking up to Jesus saying, I'm a man in authority and I'm under authority. I believe that it is important that everybody finds himself with the proper understanding that, no one is always in charge, and that we all should have our moments to submit.
right.
The word submit is not a popular word to anybody, male or female. But the truth is, there are moments when I'm in charge, and then there are moments when I need to submit to someone else who's in charge, because no one is always in charge. That's what I was teaching my son lately. Even if you're the president of the United States, you go to China, you ain't in charge while you're on the ground in China.
Right, right.
You are powerful, but you ain't the man here.
Right.
You're a guest here. And so when it comes to being corrected, there are some men, they haven't developed even the skill set to meet the demands of saying they're not correctable, but they're still acting like they're not open for correction. And then we find ourselves sometimes, as men, you could be surrounded by some good people, but unfortunately not benefiting from those good people. Bradley, what's your thought on the uncorrectable man, the man who is not open for correction?
I think that's a very dangerous place to be in. And I think every man struggles with that at some point in their lives. But we're always teachable. This school, we're always in school. So there are going to be times when you make mistakes, and that's okay. I feel like when we realize that we're wrong, or when someone points out that we did something wrong, it's a strike at our ego.
Wow.
Because we feel like we know what we're doing. And that's somebody pointing out, listen, you don't really know what you're doing, bro. You ain't have it all together. So that's a strike at our ego. So that makes us feel attacked when somebody corrects us because we have it all together. But it just proves to you that you have some work that you need to do. When you're not able to be corrected, you're in a very dangerous position because you could wreak havoc. You feel like whatever I do is right, whatever I say goes, and that's it.
Yeah.
When somebody is trying to point out to you, listen, bro, try it this way, do this, do that, but you feel like I know what I'm doing, so I don't need your help.
Yeah.
It's some of the notes that I wrote down. One thing that I wrote down: no man is an island. You're not
Yeah.
an island,
Yeah.
so you're going to need somebody, and that somebody is going to have to correct you at some point. I've struggled with being corrected, but then I had to sit back and say, you know what? Okay, Bradley, my ego was struck. I felt
Yeah.
some type of way about it, but at the end of the day, it was to help me to become better.
Yeah.
And we don't look at it that way. It's all to help us to become better. That's all
Yeah.
it is. So when we
That,
understand that it's only to help us to be better, then we should take it, do what
yeah.
we need to do, apply it, and then move on.
That's a true humbling position, Bradley. I
It
remember
is.
when I had to take that seat as well, and you and I, obviously, we've been fortunate enough to have gotten that awakening, and there are some people who have lived a while and have not accepted that truth,
Right.
that at some point in my life I need to learn how to submit myself to someone else to help me to get better. I
Right.
have not arrived. Not because you have a wife mean you've arrived. Not because you have children mean you've arrived. Not because you've made it to 30, 40, 50, 60 mean you've arrived. You could be living a long time and living wrong.
Right.
You could be living a long time and not know how you've been living. It's not been helping you. It's been hurting you. Probably this is the month where we're focusing on mental health awareness. One of the things that I wanted to talk about that I saw you posted something about on social media, and that is men and crying. I remember growing up in the Bahamas, we were told men ought not cry. You're a boy, why are you crying so much? You're a little cry baby, all right? And so before you know it, we started pulling back on the amount of tears we showed, and it was
Right.
okay maybe to cry during a funeral, a homegoing, the death of
Right.
somebody. Probably that's the only time. Outside of that, there's no need to cry. Why are you crying? Why are you so easy to cry? Talk to us about that, Bradley.
I feel like we've been so conditioned to not crying. And like you say, growing up as boys, you were told to stop crying. Big boys don't cry. Only sissies just cry.
Yep.
All this other stuff. And I think that causes men to turn off their emotions. And the flip side of that is when you become an adult,
Yeah.
people expect you to tap into those same emotions.
Yeah. Wow.
But we already plastered our wall, we done sealed that off.
Yep. Yep.
So now it's a struggle to tap into something that you've suppressed basically all your life. We have situations where some men lose family members
Yep.
and they don't cry.
Yep.
You're talking about crying out of home go when some men haven't cried. They don't know the last time they cried.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
were a child with the last time they cried. And
Right.
I think that crying though is a part of your healing process.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's a part of the healing process, so it's necessary. God gave us tear ducts for a reason.
Come on. Yes. Yes.
They were given to us for a reason. So when you don't cry, then I feel like there are some things that you have on the inside of you that's affecting you.
Yeah.
You have to let it out, bro.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know, we go through life's challenges, and there are some things that happen in our lives, and the only thing you can do is cry.
Right.
But because
Yep.
we've been so conditioned to not crying, we respond
Yep.
in a different way. We go and for some they go out and they drink, for some they go out and they party, for some they go and they smoke, for some they go and they have sex.
Yep. Yep.
When in actuality, all you need to do is release it.
Yep.
That's a part of your healing process. You're trying to fill a void of something or condition yourself for something, and you don't understand why. You don't understand why you're in that place or why you respond this way simply because some tears, even if you go in the bathroom and cry,
Yeah.
go and let it out. You nobody have to know that you cry. If that's how you feel about crying, but go and cry.
Yes. Yes. I totally agree with you, my friend. I'm totally agree with you. There are guys who would have said, man, I don't share my feelings, I don't share my feelings. And there's this pullback on not tapping into the feelings because they've not been taught how to share the feelings. So Bradley, I remember as a kid, I would have these tantrum moments where I'll snap, punch a fellow out. And I said, what happened, man? All I did was say move, because I didn't know how to respond. I didn't know how to gradually get to the point of simply saying, I don't think I should have to say to you 3 times, move, right? that's the old Carter from the street.
Right.
Did I tell you move, right? So here's the deal. I'm frustrated because of something that's happening home. I'm frustrated because of something that's happening on the job. I'm frustrated for something that's happening in society. There are things that's happening when it comes to injustice on television.
Right.
A lot of men don't know how to respond to that. And you mentioned just now a couple of things that would often be the thing that they do to sort of hide their emotions, to connect with, oh, all I need to do is a drink. I need a drink, I need a smoke, or I need to lay down and have sex or something like that, and I'm good. But the truth is they're not tapping into this whole understanding of where I am emotionally. When a guy says to you, Bradley, hey man, I'm not comfortable sharing my feelings with anybody, what would you say?
I would encourage him to do so. I feel like we don't like to share our feelings, because once we start to share our feelings, because it's so much things bottled up inside of us.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're afraid of. Once we start to share, the floodgates are going to open.
Yeah.
Because there's so much that we need to release. We've been holding things in from we were children. Because you couldn't cry.
Yep.
Whenever something happened, you had to suck
Yep.
it up.
How dangerous is it for the guy who's trying to tap into his emotion to share, but he got that little insensitive woman who said, "But you soft, Now he already wasn't going to share, but he decided to go into his emotion. And one of our viewers say men have feelings, but if you connect with the wrong girl and
Right.
you share your feelings, she can make you feel like you was a little pure fella.
He might be like, you would just tear her head off, though. You might just tear her head off. See, and I think women need to understand that when a man decides to open up and share his feelings with you, that he's exuding so much strength. Like that's when you don't try and fix him. You sit there and you listen. You allow him that space to be able to share.
Yeah.
And don't use what he say to come back at him when round day comes.
Yeah.
Don't ever throw those things back in his face, because he trusted you enough to be able to share. That's the time when you help to nurture. That's what you are. You, as a woman, you're a nurturer.
Yeah.
So there are some things you may not address right away, but at the end of the day, you say, okay, this is what I can help him with. Maybe I'll suggest this later. Maybe I'll do this. Maybe I'll do this to steer him in a direction where he's comfortable coming to me at any point or any time now to be able to share. Because when a man decides to open up and share, and you begin to say those kind of things to him, like, what kind of man are you? Or you begin to interrogate him, so to speak, he's not going to feel comfortable talking to you anymore. You're going to cause him to go back behind that wall, and he's going to stay there. So as women, on the flip side, you have to create an environment where a man is comfortable coming to open up and talk. Because of course we already feel like we're weak because we're tapping into our emotions.
Yeah.
We don't need you to put that pressure on us and be saying all kind of stuff to us about, you's a sissy, or you're a punk, or why you sharing this, or you shouldn't be doing this. And in some cases, in those moments when a man begins to share, in those moments is when the full release comes, and he actually cries.
Yep. Yep.
Because he realized, wow, I've been holding all of this stuff in for all this time.
But Bradley, let's talk about this. And I grew up in a home. I grew up in a single parent home with a mom. My mother her intent was she had to raise girls, and she had to raise her 2 boys, right?
Right.
I believe in a lot of instances, what we see in that of these tough guys who don't have emotions, I think they learn a lot of that from women who misdiagnosed the training module
Right.
and,
Right.
and didn't give them the right to be
Right.
emotional, and sometimes, and then for those who may give them on one part, you teach him to be too emotional. Now he think he's a girl. Or the other side, you telling him to not be a crybaby,
He's
and
not
now he has
emotional
no
enough.
emotions,
Right.
and now he's a monster. So you either got a monster who's a guy who's now don't know how to tap in his emotion, or you have this guy who's a little bit too much in his emotion and he ain't sure what he is.
Right.
What's your view on the role of these women homes that are raising boys where men are absent?
Women can't raise boys. And I feel like, I mean, yes, that's their mother, and that's fine. But I feel like if you are a single mom and you have boy children, that you should find a male to raise your son, and not just any male. A male that knows who he is, that can teach him how to properly be a man. But then on the flip side of that, though, Ricardo, a lot of adults, a lot of men, don't know how to be a man, what it is to be a man. So now we have this situation. We have this situation where um, the boy needs a mentor, but who do we really get to mentor him? I guess we can you can find a man that can teach him some things, um, because at the end of the day, just a woman raising a boy child, like you say, you have on one side he's too emotional, on the other side he's not emotional enough, and then we send our sons out there and they get into relationships, and these women want him to be something that he was never taught.
Yeah.
So you teach a boy, boys don't cry, stop being emotional, all this stuff, to send him out there to a woman who's raising her daughter to be in touch with her feelings. And when he gets in a relationship, he's lost.
Wow.
Like my mommy taught my sisters how to be emotional, but she never taught me how to be emotional. You can't expect me to be something that I'm not, something that I don't know. And most men won't ever go to the place where I'm going to learn how to get in touch with my feelings. We're not going
Yeah.
to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
We have to be put in a really serious situation for that to happen.
Hey, that is so good. Listen, one of our viewers said, I tried to raise my son alone, but when I saw him sat down to pee, I found a good man to raise him. I think she got a little comedian in her, Well, that's a good point. Okay.
But he was just doing what he see.
He just doing what he said.
Yeah,
right?
that's what children do. We do what we see. So that's what he saw his mom do it. So he figured that was the right way to do it.
Yeah. Riley, listen, let's talk about the principles that every man should be taught by every man. What are some of those things you would say? These are principles that affect every man that should be taught to every man.
Yes, you was kind of tapping into some of my notes earlier on in the conversation. Being a student, I think the first thing is being a student. We never stop learning. So don't ever feel like you know everything or you've arrived and I don't need to learn anything else. We are always students. As long as we're alive, we're students.
Yeah.
Life always, excuse me, life always throws challenges at us, and we have to learn how to adapt and adjust, because everything you can't deal with the same way. And my second point is being adaptable. We have to learn how to be adaptable. Forgiveness. Forgiveness is big. That's huge. There's power and freedom in forgiving. And a lot of times I feel like as men, we hold on to things and as far back as our childhood, and we don't want to forgive persons for doing things to us. We don't want to forgive ourselves for allowing it to happen. But how can we be free if we don't forgive? Growth. We should grow daily. Whatever it is that you need to do as a man to grow, you do that. For everybody, that looks different. For some, it may be reading. For some, it may be doing online classes. For some, your mentor does whatever, excuse me, to teach. So we grow daily. Faith. I think faith is huge. Believing in yourself and that anything is possible. Protect your gates.
Yeah.
What we ingest is very important. So that's your eyes and your ears. So your eye gates and your ear gates. What you listen to and what you watch is very important. So protect your gates and be comfortable being authentically you.
Yeah.
Be comfortable being authentically you. And that's going to take some work for a lot of
Yeah.
us. That's going to take some work because some of us, we have to get to know who we are. We
Yeah.
don't know who we are ourselves. So, that's some work that we have to do.
Ladies and gentlemen, this morning we're joined with Bradley Hendfield out of the Bahamas. We're talking manhood today. We're talking about why do men not feel comfortable crying? Why do men not feel comfortable tapping into their emotions? The truth is, this is mental health awareness month. And Bradley, we have a lot of guys in denial when it comes to getting checked out. I mean, to find out where are you, what's going on in your head, what's going on, what happened to your heart. I mean, where are you as a man? And so there are principles that cannot be denied, principle that will never go away. Is there some things, Bradley, that men ought not run from but have to accept because it is what it is?
I think that there are some things that we have to accept because it is what it is, and then there are also some things that we can't escape.
Right.
That's just life in general. There are things that you will never run away from. You have to deal with it face head on. So I think we have to create spaces for men to be able to figure out and understand what's going on in their minds and hearts. And once men can do that, I think that they would be in a better position to be authentically them, in a better position to be the leaders that they need to be, whether it's in the home, on the job, whatever role that you play. You will be better at doing that once you discover what's going on in your head and in your heart. Because I think a lot of times we do things based on experiences that we've had and we didn't deal with in the past.
Yeah.
We are a certain way because of those things.
Yeah.
And those things need to be addressed. We get stuck in this thing that's just who I am or that's just how I am. No, you're not. That's not just how you are.
Well,
You are that way because of something that happened.
yeah.
And you
Yeah.
need to address it.
That's correct. Yeah.
So I feel like, take the time to get to know who you are, man. Take the time to discover what's really going on in your head. Take the time to figure out what's going on in your heart. If you don't want to talk to anybody just yet, find a journal and write those things down. Write it down. You could always
Bradley,
go back and read over it. And
let,
that will
let,
help you to understand, okay, this is where I'm at, and maybe
yeah,
this is what I need to do to become the best version of myself.
that is so good. Bradley, let's dive into a couple of things. We got women who are watching and they say, man, these guys, they cheat all the time.
Oh, Lord.
They cheat. These brothers are cheating. I was telling somebody the other day, in the Bahamas, and this is, I don't know if it's changed. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I've been gone for a while. But I say, hey, listen, it's almost not on, it's very common to accept that a man may cheat.
Yes.
But and he wants to keep his woman after he's cheated. He wants to keep his initial woman. But he loses his mind if he finds a text from a dude texting his girl. Not even cheating, just outright texting. The lack of tolerance, Bahamian men, I don't know if this is international, if you're watching this from around the world, is this a global thing? But I know in the Bahamas, the brother can have 3 kids with other women after he's married, and he wants her to keep him. But if he gets wind that some dude is texting his girl, he's upset. What's the conversation in the man cave about the cheating man? What are some of the reasons why brothers cheat? Bradley, you gotta help these women out that's watching. My platform, I have a lot of women watching. They want help.
Oh, well, we haven't had that conversation in the man cave as yet, but that's a conversation that needs to be had. We as men, I think we're territorial.
Yeah, that's true.
We're territorial, so we could go there and do all the foolishness we want to do, but we can't take it to think that another man is doing something with our significant other. And for some, we talking about spouses. For some, it's just girlfriends.
Right.
You're just dating, and that's a problem. So reasons why men cheat.
Give us a few. Give us a few. I know you know it, Bradley. You've been in the cave.
I think one, we want to have our cake and eat it too. I think we want to have our cake and eat it too. I think too, though, that it's for various reasons. Every man has their reasons for cheating, and I think one of those reasons can be too. My spouse isn't providing what I feel like I need, so I go and I find that in somebody else.
Yeah. Wow.
That's one reason why I feel like men cheat, and understandably so. That shouldn't be the case because you should be comfortable enough to share with your spouse what's going on or what it is that I need.
Yep.
And I think that's where we miss a lot of times.
But what if the woman say, "Listen, I ain't going there, buddy. I ain't going there. I ain't no little. What you think I is? Some street girl?"
But then that's a conversation that needs to be had, because at the end of the day, we were in this together. When we talk about compromising is not only from a male's perspective. There are some things that you probably will not be into, but at the end of the day, I feel like you should try certain things, and then say, you know what, I tried it, and it really doesn't do anything for me. But don't not try it, and when he go out and find somebody who's willing to do it, and trust me, there are people out there willing to do it. Then there's a problem. I think a lot of times as women, we create this space where this man don't even want to be around you.
Wow. Yeah.
And it's not to try and point the finger back at you ladies. It's just the reality of it. Sometimes we're not as understanding as we think that we are. And so we need to open ourselves to, okay, this is where I'm at, this is where we are, and we need to have a conversation. And I think that a lot of times it's just a matter of conversation.
Yeah.
A lot of men cheat because they can't have certain conversations with their wives. So they find somebody that they can talk to, and one thing leads to another.
Yeah. Interesting.
Simply because that woman is willing to listen. But when you go home, your wife ain't trying to hear that.
Wow.
She ain't trying to hear you. She ain't trying to understand you. And for some men, they are trying, Ricardo. Some men are trying to tap into those things that they've been dealing with for so long. They're trying to tap into their emotions.
Yeah.
And some women, some wives, they really ain't into that. Yeah. So when he goes out with the boys and he finds somebody who's willing to listen, one thing leads to another. And a lot of times I feel like, a lot of times I think we feel like cheating is the actual act.
Yep.
That's just the result.
Right. Yes.
And I feel like an emotional relationship is far worse than going out and having a one-night stand.
Right. I've heard that before. Bradley, we have here in the comment section says men cheat because women accept it. Women need to value themselves more and have high standards. If you have to share, I'm gonna post this later, okay? I'm gonna post this later. Listen, if you have to share a man, he was never your man.
I feel I can agree with that, because that women accept it, because there are some instances where a woman finds out that her man was cheating, or her significant other was cheating, and she accepts it, and then he goes out and he does it again. Now, I can agree with that to a degree. But I feel like once we know who we are as a man and we value ourselves, then we wouldn't cheat. But until we discover who we are and value ourselves, for some, that'll always be an issue. Because you could get out of that relationship and find somebody else and be like, oh, you all gung-ho over this person, and eventually you're going to end up in that same position again. So you as a man, you have to figure out who you are, and the values and principles that you live by. And I think once you figure that out, once you discover that, that'll keep you on track. Not saying that there won't be temptation out there. Not saying that there won't be women throwing themselves at you. But if you value you, we're not even talking about your significant other. Once you value yourself, you won't, if that's not something that you're interested in, you won't do it.
let's talk about this, Bradley. How damaging? Because I got a lot of women timing in here, uh, and so how damaging is we're almost done. Is it for the woman who cheats for her to know how damaging that is to her man? I mean, how psychologically? I mean, you and the man came, and the brother said, "Listen, my girl got caught with I caught her with some other dude, right?" I mean, that messes a dude up on a whole nother level. What's your view on that?
I totally agree with that. I think that is uh, one of the reasons why you see some men out here cutting poles. Because, like I said earlier, men are territorial. You could imagine going into the barbershop. Now, this your barbershop. It's been your barbershop for years. You
Yeah,
walk into the barbershop and these fellas in the barbershop talking about this gal. They ain't calling no names.
yeah,
This conversation, the boy talk about how we just meet up with the gal and how we just do this to her, and how we just do that to her, and how she's married. He puts it out there that she's married and all this other stuff. And you listen in, and he started to share some details, and you realize, boy, they sound like my wife, you know.
that's my Honda. That's my one.
You could imagine your belly would break down in the barbershop because you to fathom another man
Yeah.
juicing your wife.
Yes. Yeah.
Like how you expect me to come back to you and get sexual when I know that somebody else has been there?
Yeah.
I often say we like to give,
Yeah.
but we can't take.
Yeah.
We love to dish it out, but we can't take it. We're territorial. Like you could cheat all your life, or like you say, you could be a chronic cheater.
Yeah.
And the minute your wife goes out there and does something, you ready for a divorce.
Well,
It's fire and brimstone. I don't want nothing to do with you. Don't touch me. Get out my house.
yeah.
Pack your stuff. You got to go now.
Yeah.
Because we're territorial, and I feel like that's a double standard. Not saying
Yeah.
that cheating should be accepted, but at the end of the day, the Bible talks about reaping and sowing and reaping.
Yeah.
You can't expect to sow and don't reap.
Wow. Bradley is assisting us this morning, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to have a full week of man talk with Bradley Hendfield, ladies and gentlemen. I love talking with this brother right here. This is real stuff. He's giving us some truth from out of the cave. And we know the women don't have no cave. They have the sofas. They have the sofa, the woman's sofa, and they sit down and they talk a little bit about everything. And some of those women, they be talking about how they cheating on their man in their little circle. Bradley, is it okay for brothers to come in the cave and talk about how they cheating on their wife?
Yes, that's fine. Come and talk about it. See, because when you talk about it, then we know what we need to do to help you.
Yeah.
We know what we need to do to help you. Like when you keep that a secret, then we can't really help you.
So what?
So,
Well, you don't embrace it. You don't encourage it. We just want to know. Be honest. Be straight.
Yeah, just be like, this is a space where, listen, bro, we ain't judging you, because at some, not every man is going to be out there cheating, but there's one brother who's in there struggling with cheating too.
Yeah.
And he's trying to figure out what to do. And he doesn't really want to be cheating, but at the end of the day, he finds himself in a predicament where he's cheating.
Yeah.
So when you decide to open up and share, now this brother is comfortable enough to say, you know what, I've been cheating too. I need help.
Yeah.
See, and I think that's where we miss it. We feel like when we go through stuff, we should hide it. And I feel like everybody goes through something to help somebody else.
Yep.
Everybody experiences something to help somebody else. My struggles ain't personal, and I had to come to grips with that. It's not personal,
Yeah.
but it's for me to help somebody else, if only one person. So at the end of the day, come to the man cave and share what it is that you need to share. Get it off your chest.
Yeah.
At the end,
Bradley,
we ain't trying to be that kind of way with people.
This is my last two questions for you. Somebody says women don't boast about cheating. The dynamics of man boasting is a pride thing. Or dynamics
True.
of a woman having an affair is a secretive pleasure to some degree. Would you agree? What's your view on that?
I could agree with that. But I can't say that all women don't boast. I can't say that all women don't. There are some women that will boast about it and they don't care. especially if they know that their spouse is cheating. They don't care. So if he finds out, then he finds out. That's on him. He have to deal with that. I had to deal with it, so now we have to deal with it. And I think some women do it intentionally as well, so that he can find out. I ain't trying to keep this a secret. But I can agree with that statement to some degree. There are some women, they do it. It's a secret, and there's always been a conversation about it. And the conversation says that women are smarter cheaters than men. Women, very rarely you'll find a woman that will get caught, but a man will, because he becomes too comfortable.
Right.
So yeah, I could agree with that.
I heard somebody said, I got a text just now, women are taught never to tell. Men are dumb enough to tell. What's your view on that?
Oh man, yeah, like you say, it's we see it as a conquest. So once we conquer, we have to tell somebody. We have to tell somebody, like we have to tell our boys. So I can agree with that. We feel like that's another notch in our belt.
Well,
so we tend to brag about it and boast about it because we feel like we've arrived. Like, okay, it's time for me to put my chest up now because I didn't conquer.
Yeah.
So I can agree with that.
Somebody say men become too comfortable and leave trails.
Yeah, I just said that. That's what I just said. You become too comfortable. You become too comfortable, and then you forget to do this and you forget to do that, and you're not as stringent as you would have been when you first started.
Yeah.
And then
Bradley, I want to finish this conversation, but there are some dudes, man, who are straight, they legit. They clean, they're committed, they're family guys, their women are cheating on them, and they didn't see it. What is the basis on that? What you think, what you've heard of in the man cave? The dude who was blind to the fact, and unfortunately, everybody else knew it but him.
Boy, that's a big ask, Ricardo. We've not the conversation has not been had in the man cave, but I've had personal conversations with brothers that discovered after a while that their spouse was cheating on them, and I feel like that's a big blow to a man. Not saying that it's not a blow to women, but men receive things differently, and like I say, we're territorial. So when we find out that our spouse is cheating on us, like we go into a spiral. We go into a spiral. And I think because a woman is more emotionally aware of who they are, of themselves, they tend to, some of them trip out, but they deal with it emotionally better than men do. Men go on a spiral. For some, that'll send, like I say, that'll send them out to count pools. For some, it will send them out drinking, like they don't want to be around her. For some, they always want to go hang out with the boys. For some, that may cause some of them to go out and cheat after the fact. Well, if you did it, I've been wanting to do it, or I've been tempted. I might as well have done it then if I know that you were doing it. And so that caused them to go out and do it and actually do it. So we go on a downward spiral after we find out because we're not emotionally aware of who we are, so we don't really know how to deal with it. And that all goes back to being raised on how to deal with things as they come up. So for some men suck it up, and okay, we're not getting a divorce because we have children. We're going to live as if we're married, but in the home, you're sleeping in two different sides of the house. But when we go out in public, we're a united front. When we do it to save face because of our pride and our ego. So I think that men process and deal with it completely different from women. So we just need to find a way where we could find somebody to talk. We need to find someone to talk to, like a professional.
With that said, this is my last question for you, Bradley. I know our time's up. I know in Grand Bahama, when I was there last time, I think you guys had news of someone taking their life. And mental health awareness month. This is real. There are times when a brother just don't know what to do. the last thing he needs to do is hurt himself or hurt someone else.
Right.
Give us a closing thought to those who are watching in the importance of getting help.
Interestingly enough that you said that, because we just had a recent incident. I think this was just last week, that we had a brother take his own life. And I saw it and I was like, bro, you look like you are a baby.
Wow.
What have you experienced in your life to cause you to want to take your life? But that's just where I think we need to do better as a people to help people.
Wow.
We've created this society where if I come to you and I share something, I hear it again.
Yeah.
I don't try to help you. I pry for information so that when I go to tell this story now, I get this from the horse's mouth.
Right.
And that's not right. I have this saying, you may have seen it, that I am my brother.
Yep.
That comes from the scripture, I might, to be a brother's keeper. And I intentionally left out that part because I feel like if I am my brother, then when my brother is hurting, then I hurt too.
Yep.
So and I think that helps a lot of men mentally when they know that they have that person there that they can lean on, someone that they can talk to, someone that they can share with. And we need to do a better job at being there for each other. And if you can't help, it's no shame in saying, bro, I hear you. Maybe I could help you find somebody professionally that you can talk to.
Wow.
And not allow finding professional help to be so taboo. Because we need it. You need it. It's necessary. A lot of people, they would say, you know what, just pray about it.
Yep.
But what happens when you've been praying about it and it feels like nothing is happening, like it's not working?
Wow.
How much time are you going to pray about it? Not knocking prayer.
Yep.
Prayer is necessary, but at the end of the day, you need to find a professional help as well. God, that's why they're there.
Yep.
So you pray and you get professional help. We have to do it, and especially as men, we have to do it. And that's been a big thing lately, where a lot of men are now starting to go to get help, and we need to encourage more men to go and do it.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. Like, bro, if you need to find somebody to talk to and you don't trust the people around you, go and find a professional who is inclined to keep that information to themselves.
Yep. Bradley, this is so good, man. A couple of years ago, I sat in my therapist's chair, and I felt some kind of way walking in there. I looked on the right, to the left to see if anybody saw me. I wore my hat and sort of walk a little low. After a few months, I learned to accept the fact that it is what it is. Just like we go to the doctor to get an annual physical and a checkup, I think that you should do that. Just like you go to a dentist, you go to a doctor, you know what I'm saying? Go to an eye doctor, you will go to a therapist or a counselor and make sure that you're okay, people. I had to learn that, and I learned it late. And I want to encourage you to make sure get the help. Bradley just shared it. Bradley, man, the comments are coming in. I know you got to go. I have to go. And I'm going to do a talk on this one right here. Someone says you need to bring him back, and I'll talk about spouses who living like roommates, but acting like happily married couples for the public. Bradley, that's one of the topics somebody else says. And the effect of the pandemic on marriages, being stuck at home with someone you don't like.
Someone you don't know.
Someone you don't know. You didn't even know. Oh, Lord, Bradley, you just went there. And so thank you so much for what you're doing and helping, man. It's clear that you also have established the confidentiality rule in the cave, or even with relations to having talked with you. People know the guys, you're building this rapport that when you talk to me, you talk to me. And I like what you said. I didn't see that answer coming when you said, if they're cheating, do they talk about it in the cave? You say, yes, I want them to come and talk, because what I don't know of you that could be hurting you, I can't help you with.
Right.
But I need you to be transparent. I'm not going to judge you. I'm just going to be very clear about the response to what I think you should be looking at in relations to fixing your behavior, because it's going to affect you. So honesty is important. And I mean, having clear lines of communication with people in your niche or community or tribe is a cool thing, man. You're doing a phenomenal job. How can people follow you, stay connected to you, come talk to a man group or anything if they wanted to?
You can find me on Facebook, Bradley Hendfield. We have a Facebook page as well, The Man Cave 242, The Man Cave Experience, and on Instagram, Bradley, age 26. That's Bradley, age 26, and the Man Cave 242 on Instagram.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bradley Hendfield, guys, it was really good. We went over, man, Bradley, but it was so good. I'm going to have to watch this again, take some notes. You've actually even given me material for more talks. And so you got to do this again. Please accept our invitation when we invite you to try to see if you can plug in another date, because I want to talk to you about some more stuff that's related to men. A lot of this stuff isn't being talked about enough. And so thank you for what you do. Thank you for being committed to it in spite of all that's happening in our world. We had a global pandemic. We had a hurricane hitting our country. I mean, multiple hurricanes, and you're continuing to persist. I appreciate you for that, brother. Before you go, ladies and gentlemen, I want to encourage you to make sure that you register for this event that's happening on Saturday, May 29th. Listen, guys, it's 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Great fun. It's going to be phenomenal. I would love for you to join us. If you're anywhere in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, come and join me and the crew here for this Memorial Day event. It's going to be great. You don't want to miss it. Bradley, have a great day, my brother.
You too, man.
God bless.
All right.